116, 112 on my card, and just nervous moments now for David Haye. He realizes on the road in Germany, judges' scorecards being totted up. He's getting a hug and a kiss from his sparring partner and camp confidant Danny Watts, Richard Schaefer up in there as well, Don King hovering ring centre. These nervous moments in the career of David Haye.
But if you wanted any indicator as to who genuinely won that fight, look at Valuev right at the end of the contest. No semblance of celebration. He tapped Haye on the gloves as if to say, "You've done me, mate," and he did.
And that body language being continued up in the boxing ring now. David Haye and his team walking to the red corner, acknowledging the roar of this British crowd. Nikolai Valuev looking pensive, looking forlorn over on the far side of the ring, Steve.
Can I be my usual killjoy and say, listen, if he loses it or it's a draw, guess what? The O2 London, the rematch, it's guaranteed, Ronald.
So David Haye, degloved, up in the red corner, breaks into a smile. And the crowd, the British crowd, thinking that it's their man who has done enough to get the nod. That's certainly the impression we got from our vantage point at ringside. But Richie, we don't know how it's going to go over in Germany.
No, we don't, but Ronald, look at the crowd around us. It's all the Brits that are singing. The German crowd are absolutely... Look, David Haye just gets up onto the ring then. He's acknowledging the crowd now. It's the Brits that are cheering. The Germans are silent. They know their man has been beaten tonight.
Just waiting for the official verdict from MC Michael Buffer. He's looking at a document that was handed up from ringside. We're assuming that is the judges' totals.
And he's been talking to somebody at ringside, trying to clarify something, which makes it all the more nerve-wracking for everybody here associated with David Haye.
Here's the verdict.
Juan Manuel Reyes Garcia scores it 114, 114 even. Stefano Carroza scores it 116, 112. And Tom Miller scores it 116, 112 to the winner by majority decision. From London, England, the news.
Well, there is jubilation in the ring. Since he was 10 years old, David Haye has dreamed of this moment. Finally, it has come to pass. David Haye is the heavyweight champion of the world with a measured, composed performance, the best of his career on the night when he needed it most.
And the judges got it right, Mike, on the night. You know, there was too much pressure on this fight. Globally, it was too big. This wasn't a Monty Barrett. This was a David Haye. This was a guy people have been saying is the saviour. And let's just get this right. David Haye is a monster maverick. He's done this on his own. He's been told again and again and again, you can't do that throughout his career. He's here tonight. They're a two-man band, him and Adam Booth, and they've got Sports Rich's prize.
And what a night for David Haye and his team celebrating in the ring, but also what a night for British boxing, and what a night for the heavyweight division. Suddenly, because of David Haye, and maybe not with the kind of performance we've come to know him by, but the heavyweight division is alive again.
Alive indeed, Mike, because this is the man, despite how he's performed tonight, a measured performance, careful performance, but he has the punching power, he has the charisma and the personality to spark global interest in the heavyweight division, Steve.
You know what, John Ruiz, we saw him earlier on. David would love John Ruiz. There's dozens and dozens of fights, and now he can sit down with the Klitschko's and he won't have to sign away the rest of his life for peanuts. He'll sit down in 2 fights' time as a bigger star than either of those two Ukrainians.
He sits across the negotiating table, not as a cocky, mouthy little South Londoner, but as a world champion. And he says thank you as he makes his way around the 4 corners of the ring to those who came here to support him tonight. And I promise you that the numbers that are here tonight will be absolutely minuscule compared to those who follow him on the rest of his journey, and what a journey that might prove to be.
And Steve, what a performance in terms of keeping his concentration for the full 12 rounds against the man. I told you he couldn't keep his concentration for 12 rounds, didn't I? I told you he couldn't. I told you he'd knock him out in 6.
But Steve, there were signs. We were talking on your BBC London show on Thursday evening against Jean-Marc Mormec. He took a good shot, went down in the 4th round, and the phrase I used, he went on holiday for 2 rounds to get himself himself back together. He's got a great boxing brain when he wants to use it.
And again, let's just put this into perspective, what David Haye has achieved tonight. He has become the heavyweight champion of the world, the WBA version, on the road. That rank in terms of accomplishment and achievement in British boxing history.
And this whole fight was built on one single question. How can a man of his size beat Nikolai Valuev? That's how.
And can you imagine what this will do back home? Whether his next fight's in Las Vegas, whether his next fight's at the O2 in London, or whether his next fight's back here and it'll be in Berlin in front of 15,000. It makes no difference, because he will be now, as much as I want to claim him for the Fitzroy Lodge and Lambeth, he's global, he's massive, he's international.
And Steve, just put it into some type of perspective. Lloyd Honeyghan went abroad, smashed Don Curry to pieces to become the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. That is the benchmark by which all British fighters on the road are judged. Where does this rank in comparison to that?
Well, because of the David and Goliath tag, it ranks higher. Not because Valuev is better than Don Curry, because of course it's not. But it's bigger than that. Look at the people here. Don Curry, they didn't even print tickets for that fight.
And remember as well, when everybody was predicting, let's listen to David Haye in the centre of the ring before we carry on with that point.
Everything to me. From when I was a little baby, I said I'll be the heavyweight champion of the world. And today, my dreams become true. I fought the biggest heavyweight champion in history. And I was very strong. I hit him with big shots. And only in the last round did it seem to hurt him and stun him. But I damaged my hand in I think it was the second or third round. So I couldn't throw too many right hands. So I tried to win it extensively with my left hand. You know, my hand's very tender, I'm very sore. That's why I only used it very irregular.
When did you realise I can really win against him today?
I realised it from when I signed the contract. I knew that I'm the best heavyweight in the world. And today I found a strategy. I didn't train to do that. I trained to be more aggressive. But I damaged my hand. So I had to take my foot off the gas and win it clever, win rounds. You know, and it worked out.
All this trash talking before the fight. Is it just part of the business, or what is it?
You know, I'm a guy who says what I think. You know, I think what I say. Sometimes it upsets people. But, you know, I've got full respect for Valuev. I know I didn't show him any respect before the fight. But, you know, after it, he showed he could take some big shots. And he's a very, very strong man. And I believe he'll win back the title another time.
What will happen tonight?
Tonight I'm going to party, baby. I'm going to party all night long.
Thanks a lot, David Haye.
So, David Haye conceding that he damaged his right hand, the Haymaker hand, in the second round. How much more impressive does that make this victory here tonight?
But actually, you could argue the flip side, that made him stay composed, made him resist taking any kind of gamble as the fight progressed.
Guaranteed.
Wonderful performance.
That's guaranteed, Mike, because he actually said there this wasn't the fight I trained for. The fight he trained for was a far more aggressive fight. Damaging his right hand was the best thing that could have happened to him. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Oh, definitely. And the way he boxed then, obviously, for the 12 rounds on the back foot, well, I think it was very good tactics. And like Sir Henry said, he's got to go in there and like that mosquito stinging. And that's what he did. But the thing is here, Mike, this guy, heavyweight champion of the world, from Britain, we've done it, BBC Radio 5 Live. This guy should be on terrestrial TV, should be on the BBC.
Go on, son.
So David Haye surrounded by well-wishers up there in the red corner in the boxing ring as he becomes the first British heavyweight champion since the retirement of Lennox Lewis in 2003. And now the world literally is his oyster. He's the heavyweight that people are going to want to fight because he brings excitement, he brings dynamism, and he brings money to the table. All the options now in front of David Haye. Which way will he go? We hope to get a word with him at some point during the evening. Of course, he's a hot ticket right now. Television speaking to him. Everybody wanting to get a word with David Haye. We'll do our best to get him over and have a word here on BBC Radio 5 Live. What a night it's been here in the Nuremberg Arena. And to be fair to the home crowd, they appreciated his victory. They gave him a warm round of applause after he got the job done.
Hey, the Germans might not go crazy when the boxing's on, but they're respectful and they understand the way things work. And I just hope that people don't lose sight of what happened here tonight, and one or two influential people inside the British boxing business don't start top spinning it and trying to suggest, well, actually it was a dreadful performance against a dreadful, dreadful champion. If he was such a dreadful champion, then everybody should have previewed today that Valuev was going to win inside 2 or 3 rounds.
Let's have no after time.
Absolutely, Mike. Fun enough, I've already got a couple of after-timers on my phone already. I've had a couple of texts from people saying he's absolutely rubbish. Same guy, one of these guys told me in Dublin yesterday he thought it was a 50-50 fight and he fancied Valuev to stop Haye in the 9th.
David Haye proudly wearing that strap around his waist. He's grinning from ear to ear.